Let's talk about reading. I'm going to cover two major points. First, learning or teaching a child how to read from a young age. And two, how to make reading fun. While the exact age that a child learns to read varies widely, the average generally sits between 4 and 8 years old. In the US, the ideal age is about 6 or 7 as the child is entering grade school. But let me tell you, it's perfectly possible to teach a child how to read at a much younger age. I was reading independently at 2 years old. Roll the clip.
Professor was too far and was put away just that we both was too right.
Disclaimer, there are going to be instances in which what I say in this video won't work because you do have kids that have different learning disabilities or dyslexia or ADHD. These will have their own complications with literacy. However, getting started teaching your child how to read as early as possible might help you sort of uncover some of these issues early on and kind of get a head start on working around them. So don't let the idea of a learning disability scare you into not teaching your child how to read as early as possible, because it can significantly help. Because then your kids will have a head start when they actually need to learn. How do you teach your kids how to read? Let me tell you, it's not that complicated. You read to them. You don't need to read to your child straight from the womb. However, studies have found that starting to read to your child within the first 6 months was positively correlated with better verbal comprehension and concept formation. Unfortunately, there's also research to suggest that low social economic status is also positively correlated with not reading to your child from a young age. Why is this? Honestly, there are so many reasons. From simply not knowing that reading to your child at a young age can be super helpful to their brain development, to not knowing where to find resources, to just not having the time. And to this, I will forever recommend libraries. A lot of libraries will have a children's program that includes story hours. Why? Why are you so loud? And then, of course, you can check out like a billion children's books. Don't actually check out a billion children's books. Other children need to read too. If you don't think you can return books consistently to a library, there's also thrift shops where you can often get like a ton of children's books for like $1 or less each. If time is more of the issue than cost, Leapfrog is also super helpful. On top of reading, it may also help to invest in a label maker. They're not expensive. You can get one for like $10 at Walmart. My mom, when teaching me how to read, would attach labels to just various household items, and I would start to kind of get that word association of that thing has those letters, that's a cabinet, that must say cabinet, and then I learned through that. Literacy statistics in the US scare me. Roughly 22% of adults in the United States are functionally illiterate. This doesn't mean that they can't read at all, period, end of story. However, this does mean that they're not likely to be able to derive meaning from the things that they read. And when I say that, I don't mean like meaning. I mean like if you put a contract in front of them and they sign it, they won't know what they just signed. I have a video about this in the cards, whichever side they end up on, and in the doobly-doo below. I say this because teaching a child how to read early means they're less likely to become functionally illiterate adults, because they already have that strong foundation of understanding written language. So here's what's really interesting. You, as the adult, even if you are functionally illiterate, are still able to teach your child how to read. It's not that much different from teaching a kid how to speak. Start with word associations. Like I said, get a label maker. Then start getting low-level children's books and graduate your way up. And you might be thinking, there's no way that I can teach a child beyond where I'm at. Here's the thing. Children's brains are basically hardwired to absorb information and learn how to do things. This isn't to say that an adult can't learn how to read, even though they're an adult, but a child's brain is better programmed to pick up on how to do those things. So once you get a child to the point where they're able to start reading independently, eventually they can essentially teach themselves how to read beyond wherever your level's at. And if you're still concerned, again, librarians can help. Librarians would be happy to help. So we've already addressed how to teach a child to read, but how do we make it fun? This is largely going to depend on what your child likes and how old they are and so many different factors. If your child's really little, just reading with them can be enjoyable. because then it's sort of like a bonding activity of you're reading together. This can also work for older kids, depends on how much they value your time and company. You can also pull a Pavlov and be like, if you read for an hour, I'll give you a cookie, and then they'll start to associate reading with getting cookies, and then you slowly stop offering them the cookies, and they'll just start reading on their own, because Pavlov. Another option, if your kid just absolutely loves TV shows and movies, is to find the books that those things are based on, or books that are based on those things, whichever came first. Have your kid read those before they're allowed to watch the movie or the Netflix TV series, because you know it's going to be on Netflix. It also helps to let your kids choose their own books and choose what they want to read. And this is again where libraries are super helpful, especially if you don't want to spend a bunch of money on a bunch of books that they might not enjoy. I don't remember my parents ever questioning a book or telling me I wasn't allowed to read something. That's not to say we never had conversations about difficult topics as they came up in what I was reading, but they never prevented me from having access to those materials. The other thing to keep in mind is that reading is reading. Don't criticize your kid if they only want to read comic books. There's still words in it, they're still reading. Pictures do not impact their ability to see and understand the words. If it is truly a concern for you, then find books that are related to those comic books. A lot of major comic book characters do have like actual books, and then there's also always sci-fi and fantasy, finding things that they might be interested in those genres. Bonus is if your kid is interested in like creative making things, because then you can have them like draw illustrations to represent major story points. Or have them make a book trailer, and let me tell you, having them make a book trailer cannot be any worse than having like an actual production company make a book trailer, because I have never seen a good, non-cringy book trailer. Let me know if you've seen one, because I have not.
It is written, "We appear to men like angels of light." Light is an effect of fire, and fire will burn.
But this can help to add sort of an interactive, fun level to reading. It's not just sitting in a book, it's making something based on the book. And finally, do not treat reading like a chore. Earlier when I mentioned the Pavlov thing, you're not giving it as a reward. You're doing it to create association. You're not going to tell them, if you read, I'll give you a cookie. You just do it. Don't punish your child for not reading. Don't give them over-the-top rewards for reading. The younger you can get them started enjoying reading, the less you'll need to check up on them as they get older, because they will just already associate reading with this is fun. But yes, reading is important, and teaching your kids how to read for fun is also important, because then they will blossom into fantastic readers. All of my references and resources are in the doobly-doo below as usual. And I will see you next time, I guess. Bye! This is Teddy Bear, and he's been my reading partner forever. Yeah, a bunch of fun. Yeah.